Welcome, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. Hold on. I feel like I know most of you, but my name is Casey Greer, and I am really happy we're doing this Tech Talk series. This is our second in the series, and we've invited Leah back. If you came to our first Tech Talk series, you'll remember Leah. But we've invited Leah back, and we're so excited because Leah has a wealth of knowledge about accessibility and tech. And we kind of marketed this call to quote unquote tech dinosaurs. If you feel that Leah's going to really strip back and start from the very beginning because we know in the last call, it got really over a lot of people's heads. It was really very, very technical, which some people were able to follow, but we were like, we need to hold people's hand maybe a little and you know go backwards a little and start from scratch. So Leah has an awesome presentation she's prepared, and I'll let her introduce herself. And then we will take questions if any of you have questions at the end. And Leah, I'll continue to let people in as they come. I'll keep an eye on the waiting room. So
Awesome.
let me know if you need anything.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. I'm gonna just start showing my screen and hopefully you can see that. Um, so yeah, thank you all for having me. Whoopsies. And I just want to say this is an honor to be able to do this with Noah. So yeah, as Casey said, we're going to be covering the basics of accessibility for mobile devices, specifically iPhones and Android devices tonight. And I'll just be covering just like the general idea of it, some of the features that they can do, and some of the applications that you can get to help you access technology a lot easier, and just help out in day-to-day life. So yeah, first of all, who am I? I'm Leah Dykema. I am 18 years old and I am in a junior in high school. I'm homeschooled, but I am dual enrolled into the high school here where I live. And I live in Iowa. Um, as for like my background, I am Chinese. I was adopted from China when I was 3.5, and I've been living in Iowa since, which is now coming up on I think 14 years. So I have enjoyed living in the US, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to learn about technology and have all these amazing tools around me. Um, my visual impairment is albinism. I also have nystagmus, and they are part of what has enabled me to have access to technology, what has given me awareness of how important accessibility is, and they've kind of helped with my passion for technology. Um, my career goal, I'm hoping to go into graphic and web design to help make websites more accessible. Or I am also considering doing my own business, doing tech consulting services for the blind and visually impaired, also teaching um, and bringing awareness from a blind, visually impaired perspective. Um, my tech experience, I have been a dependent user of an iPad since I was 10 years old, and I am coming up very closely on 8 years. Come April, it will have been 8 years that I have been using Apple products. So I'm heavily Apple based, but I am branching out to Android and to Windows, and I'm really excited that they are becoming more accessible. Um, but most of my knowledge is self-taught, thanks to YouTube and Google being super helpful. And so now I run actually a YouTube channel called I Access Ability, and I will be talking more about that at near the end actually. But I am thrilled to be running that channel and to be developing a website with resources to help teach people how to use technology um, to help in life as a blind or visually impaired person. So that's just a little bit about me. Um, As for some features I'll be covering, this is the general idea what I'm going to cover for iOS and Android. I've got them listed here on both sides. They are the same features. Um, they are named slightly different for each, but they are the same. Dark mode and dark theme are the same. Zoom is the same as magnification. Inverted colors is the same as color inversion, and so on. So these are the features I'll be covering tonight. So we're going to start off with the iPhone um, here. Um, but I also will be covering some applications. So this is the list of apps that I'll be covering, and for both iOS and Android. And I will demonstrate just a little bit at the end what these apps are for and what they're used for and all. So with the iPhone, you can do a whole lot, and it's amazing that the accessibility is incredible on these devices. But we'll be covering how to enable dog mode, how to enlarge the display, um, how to set up and use VoiceOver, which is the screen reader, Zoom to just enlarge items in general, and then set up like the accessibility shortcut for iPhone to be able to toggle on and off features easily. I'll be also showing you how to enlarge the text size on your device so that you don't have to squint as hard to see your text because sometimes it's just too small. And so I'll be showing you how to enlarge the text size even larger than iOS typically allows you to, as well as setting up and using smart inverted colors as well as classic inverted colors. And then I'll also be covering speak selection and how to use that to be able to have your device speak out words to you if you prefer that instead of like voiceover is a full-on um, screen reader and speak selection just is a temporary speaking feature. So those are the features I'm going to cover. And
And
I've
I'll
got here.
also add really quick, Leah, if any of you want to
Mhm.
write questions in the chat as Leah goes, we won't take questions until after the presentation, but
Yes.
go ahead and write some questions if you want to, so you don't
Yep.
forget, and we will take them at the end.
Yeah, and I do have the chat open on my iPad here, so I can see those. So here I've got my iPhone, right here, and this is an iPhone 14 Pro. I'm running the latest version of iOS. I'm going to just walk through these features. So hopefully you can you can follow along. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open up settings
Fingers.
on my device here. And this will take me to the home page of settings. So in here, you can access things like turning on and off Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, or just signing into accounts or accessing your cellular plan and so much more. But we're going to go ahead and scroll down to display and brightness to start off. Um, so in here, we can toggle between light and dark mode. Right now, I've got my phone set to dark mode. This is how I see best. Um, and this is where you would go to set this up. But if you like light mode, this is also where you can toggle that. If you like both light and dark mode, but you want it to automatically turn on and off during certain times of the day, you can also set up the automatic schedule. So if I turn this on, it's
I
going
can
to switch it back
understand
to light mode. But you'll see here under options, you can set a specific time or set it to automatically enable and disable between sunset and sunrise. So this is awesome if you prefer light mode during the day and then dark mode at night. Um, but I'm going to go ahead and turn that off right now and switch back to dark mode. In display and brightness, we can also scroll down to the very bottom to display zoom, and this will allow you to enlarge just items in general. So like buttons, the app icons will just be bigger. So you can use it on large text, or the default is what I've got it set to right now. But if you need your text, your the buttons just generally enlarged, you would come in here and tap on load your text and then tap done at the top and save that setting. So that's one way to enlarge items on the screen. For now, I'm going to leave it as is, and we're going to swipe back to the main menu of settings. I just swiped back, but you can just tap the back button at the top left corner of the screen until you get back to the main menu. Um, Going up just a little bit, we'll find the accessibility menu. In older iOS versions, this accessibility menu is found in general. Um, so if your device is running a little bit older of an iOS and you don't see accessibility on the main page, check under general. But I'm gonna go ahead and open up accessibility. So in here you can find a whole lot. And it's awesome that Apple finally now added a description for each section in settings. So at the very top, it'll explain what this is, kind of, what this section of settings is for and what you can do with it. But we're going to go ahead and just scroll down to VoiceOver right here. So VoiceOver is a screen reader and it allows you to access the display by having everything read out loud to you. So it does actually adjust kind of how you interact with the device. And I'm going to demonstrate just a general idea on how that works here. But if you would like to come in here and read through some of the gestures for yourself at your own pace, you can come in and then tap learn more, and it would tell you like the basic interaction and navigation gestures for VoiceOver. But I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on. I'm gonna turn down my speech rate and then I'm gonna turn this on. And hopefully you can hear this.
Double tap to activate the selected item.
But it is a little fast, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn that down.
43, 33. Voiceover tutorial button.
Except
Speech
it's
rate.
not.
Adjust the speech punctuation. Speech volume. Red double tap to activate the select speaking rate. 65, 60, 55.
Okay, so now the speech rate is a little slower, so hopefully you can understand it. But basically, what we can do is tap items on the screen to have the device read it out loud. So if you struggle to see your screen and need it to be all read out loud, you can just tap items with VoiceOver and it will read it out loud to you. So I can tap here.
Voiceover tutorial button.
And it will speak it out loud to me. And then if I want to activate, say, this button, I can double tap
Select the next item on each
to
page of this
select
tutorial.
it.
You'll learn a new voiceover gesture. VoiceOver
So
menu.
it's going to try and
From
read
left to
everything
right
out.
to move to the next page. Done button.
So it's going to try and read everything out loud here, but you tap on the screen to focus VoiceOver's cursor on it and to hear what it is, and you double tap to activate that item. I'm going to back out of here if I can.
Select the previous item. You just practiced the gesture to select the next item. To select the previous on-screen item, swipe from right to
I
left.
just realized it's trying to go through the
Default action. This
through
is similar to
the
clicking the mouse on the item or pressing a button to submit a form. To activate the select
through
item,
the tutorial. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off quick.
move to the next page. Alert. Accessibility selected. Voiceover off.
Okay. I did not mean to go into the tutorial and get stuck in there. But I'm going to turn that back on now.
Settings. Accessibility. Back button.
So you can also just swipe through the items on screen if you don't see them very well. So you swipe left and right to go forward or backwards.
Voiceover. Switch.
And it will just move down the list. Well, from left to right and down the list of items.
Tap once to select an item. Double tap to activate the selected item.
So that's kind of how VoiceOver works. Now, there's a ton of other features and gestures, but that's the general idea of how VoiceOver works. You generally just swipe through items and things. To go home on an iPhone without a home button, you swipe up like you normally do, but you hold it until you hear the first sound. and then it will take you home.
Double tap to open.
And that's kind of generally how voiceover will work for the most part. I'd like to go over more, but we don't have a whole lot of time tonight. And so I'm just covering the basics of these features, but that's kind of a tutorial on voiceover. Swiping out of that will take us back to the main menu of accessibility. And I'm going to scroll down to Zoom. Zoom allows you to magnify the entire screen itself, or in window view. So I'm going to go ahead and just enable this, and it's going to zoom in here. So it zoomed in on the button, but basically it lets me make everything just larger in general. So if I need to see something that you normally wouldn't be able to zoom in on, this is what allows you to do that. So if you couldn't see this text here, this is super helpful to just enlarge it and blow it up. Now I've got my zoom set up to be full screen. So when I go activate it, it zooms the entire screen. But you can switch it to a window zoom. So if we go into zoom region, we can do window zoom. And when I zoom in, then it puts up this little window that I can drag around on. So Zoom does have interesting gestures. And it will, it can be activated with a 3-finger double tap to toggle it on and off temporarily. Or if you prefer not to use the gestures, you can use the Zoom controller. I highly recommend using this, especially at the beginning when you're first learning Zoom. But then it just puts this little controller on your screen, and you can double tap it to enable your zoom, and then drag on that controller to move the zoom around. And it works in both window zoom and full screen. So I'm going to switch to full screen to show you here. And if you just tap the controller once, it brings up the zoom menu. And this is where you can choose the region, you can zoom in and out manually. You can choose like a filter, so you can apply different filters like grayscale, or I think it's got like inverted colors, and you can apply low light on it as well. And then you can also adjust the zoom intensity with this slider here, which is pretty cool. You can show and hide the zoom controller from this menu. But for the most part, it's a 3-finger double tap to zoom in and out, a 3-finger double tap and then slide up and down to adjust the zoom, and a 3-finger triple tap to bring up the menu if you want to use the gestures. So that is Zoom. I definitely recommend coming in here and just messing around with this, check it out for yourself, play around with it, learn it. I think this is an awesome feature. This is actually one of the very first features I learned when I got my first iPad. And it is amazing. I use it every day. So I'm going to go ahead and back out of there. And there's so much we can go over here. But I'm going to go ahead and just scroll down. Whoopsies. I'm going to scroll down to the very bottom where we have the general section for accessibility. And in here, there's a button called Accessibility Shortcut. So I'm going to go ahead and just tap on that. This lets you set up a configurable shortcut to enable and disable various accessibility features on your device. So if you only use VoiceOver occasionally, like I do, you can set it up so that you can just do a triple press of your power button or your home button, depending on what device you have, and it will automatically turn it on and off. This is super helpful, really nice if you have like a family who frequently is on your phone and doesn't know how to use, say, VoiceOver, then you can just easily toggle voiceover off for them to be able to use your phone and then toggle it back on when you get your phone back. That's just a quick example right there. But I've got here a whole lot of settings in my accessibility shortcut. I can toggle on zoom and voiceover as well as inverted colors and more. So for an iPhone without a home button, you triple click the power button. So 1, 2, 3, and it will bring up the menu. If you only have one setting selected or enabled in here, for the shortcut, it would just toggle that shortcut or that setting, I mean, right away instead of bringing up this menu. But since I've got a whole lot of different settings in here, it will pull up the menu for me every time. So I'm just gonna hit cancel for now. But definitely if you need to set this up, I recommend setting this up for sure. It's super handy and helpful to be able to toggle on and off various settings. But I'm gonna go ahead and tap the back button. And I'm going to go back to the top of the accessibility menu. So then we're going to go into text size. So if your phone text size is just not big enough and you've set it to as big as your phone lets you, but it's just not big enough, you can enable extra large text. So scrolling down, you can find a menu called display and text size. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. And in here, you can find different settings like bold text, and then below it, you can find larger text. So if I go in here, we can see this is enabled right now, but if it's turned off, you'll see at the very bottom, there's only so many options of text size. I can only go up to here. But if I enable this, I can actually go up higher. Now, I'm not sure why it's going. Oh, I know. I gotta switch back to this. Um, I can only go to this size with it off, but if I turn it on, I can actually go up to here. So this is really helpful and really nice because it makes the text absolutely enormous. And this just makes reading your phone a lot easier, reduces strain. And so I definitely recommend coming in here and turning this on if you find that your text size is just not big enough yet. Whoopsies. But for now, I'm going to set this text size down just a little bit. And we're going to swipe out of here. And within display and text size, if we scroll down, we'll find smart inverted colors and classic inverted colors. And you're probably wondering what's the difference here. So classic inverted colors, it literally inverts the entire screen. So any color is switched to the opposite of its color. So for example, black is switched to white and white is switched to black. I think yellow is switched to blue, and vice versa. So if I turn this on, classic inverted colors, it's gonna make my phone look like it's in light mode. Even though dark mode is enabled, it's gonna make everything look like it's in light mode because it's inverting all the colors. But classic inverts also inverts pictures. So I'm just gonna pull up a random picture here. Um, I'm just gonna tap on a photo here. This is me wearing some medals I recently owned on a trip. Which kind of looks, in all honesty, a little creepy if you ask me. But we can fix this by just turning off classic inverts, so the photo will look normal. But if you still need text inverted, if you need your screen inverted, but you don't want to invert your pictures, you can turn on smart inverted colors. So this will invert the screen, but it would detect if one, the application is already in dark mode, and two, if there are images, it won't invert those. So it looks like nothing happened because dark mode is already enabled on my phone. But if we go back to that photo, now it looks normal. So that's the difference between smart inverted colors and classic inverted colors. And this is mainly, inverted colors is mainly helpful on websites that are not compatible with dark mode, and if you need to invert colors, or PDFs that are too bright. That's mainly what I use it for. And so if you are on a website or a PDF, for example, let's go into a website here. This is an Apple website, and this is too bright for me. I can't read this. Well, if I triple click my power button and then tap inverted colors, I just tapped classic inverted colors, it makes the website look like it's in dark mode. So that's what inverted colors is generally used for. It's to help you be able to see information easier in a darker format on incompatible dark mode elements. But that's dark mode and inverted colors. If we swipe back to the accessibility menu, we can find a section called spoken content. So this is the speak selection. So this lets you be able to select text on the screen and then have it read out loud, but not change all the gestures of the device like VoiceOver does. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back into my Safari here, and I'm gonna pull up an article on my website actually. And I've got this enabled, so what you would want to enable actually would be speak selection at the very top. And this will allow you to just tap and hold on on a word, and it's gonna bring up a menu here. But then you can grab the little sliders and select text. So I'm just gonna select the title here of this article on my website. And in this menu, you can copy it, you can find the selection, you can look it up, translate it, search the web, or there's this new button that will pop up called Speak. And if I tap this,
Set up and use spoken content on iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch.
so it just read that really fast because I've got my speech rate set pretty fast. But it just said set up and use spoken content on iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch. And so this is really helpful if, say, your eyes are really tired and you want to read an article. You can use speak selection to select the text in the article and just have it read out loud to you. So that's really helpful. You can use it while texting in a message or on a note or in an email. You can use it really just about anywhere. Anywhere that allows you to tap and hold on a word to select it and then drag around to select more words if you want to. But that's speak selection. You can also set up a whole lot more in here. You can set up like how it highlights words or set up typing feedback, which is really helpful if you make typing mistakes frequently. So then it just speaks out whatever you're typing, which is helpful. You can also change down here at the bottom, you can change the speech rate, and you can also change the voice of the speak selection voice that it uses. So definitely recommend coming in here and checking this out. But that is what we're going to cover for the iPhone. For tonight, as well for features specifically. And if you want to learn more, there are articles about all of these features on my website. Again, I'll be talking about that closer to the end. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the next. We're going to cover the Google Pixel now. So these features are also found on Samsung devices as well. But they're slightly organized differently or worded just slightly differently sometimes on Samsung devices. So if you have questions about those, we can definitely cover those at the end. And instructions on these features are also on my website for both Google Pixel and Samsung devices. So we're gonna go through those same features, but for Android. And so I've got here my Google Pixel, And I'm going to go ahead and just open up settings. And we're going to scroll down until we find display and touch. In here, we can find under appearance, we can find dog theme. So this is the exact same as dog mode, it's just named differently. And right now it's enabled. You could set a schedule for it as well. Same thing as the iPhone. If you tap on the schedule button, you can set that up if you'd like. But this is where you can go to toggle on dog mode. So right now it's off. And this is kind of what it looks like when it's off on a Google Pixel, but I'm going to go ahead and turn that back on. And that's where you find dog theme. But we're going to go ahead and scroll down to the very bottom, and we're going to find accessibility. And in here, you can find all the other features that we talked about on the iPhone, but for Android. So at the very top here, it's got a list of all the downloaded accessibility apps I've got. So you won't have this list unless you got some of these downloaded. But I'm just gonna go ahead and scroll past these until we find TalkBack. So TalkBack is the exact same as VoiceOver. It's just for Android. And so I'm gonna go ahead and tap on this. TalkBack does have a slightly different way of how it walks. The gestures are slightly different. On iPhone, I forgot to say, with VoiceOver, you scroll with 3 fingers up and down. On Android, you scroll with 2 fingers up and down. But just about everything else is the same. You tap an item.
20, TalkBack
You
reminds
tap
you
an item.
without looking at the screen. TalkBack can be helpful for people who have difficulty seeing the screen. 1 of 8. In list, 8 items, 1 ignored. Window TalkBack. Music volume set to 16%.
So you tap the item to have it speak it out loud to you. And then you also double tap to activate it, just like we talked about before.
Accessibility. Navigate them.
And you swipe through the items to just go through the items in an order. You can swipe the same way.
Quick access.
But scrolling again is with 2 fingers on Android versus on iPhone, it's 3 fingers. There are other different gestures with TalkBack, but I'm not gonna go over those. But that's TalkBack for you. You can change like the voices for both screen readers. Again, there's so many different settings that you can customize all these features with. But I'm not gonna go over all of them. I'm not going to go super deep into all this right now. So within accessibility, you can also change like the font size and the display size. So right below TalkBack is the display section. So we're gonna go ahead and tap on display size and text. And in here, we can set the font size, so all the text. And then the display size is zoom equivalent, more or less. Display zoom for iPhone. So that enlarges buttons and icons. And that's the difference between these two. Unfortunately, I've not been able to find a way to enlarge text size more than this. But it is pretty big. I think there is a way, I just haven't figured it out quite yet. But if you need to, you can also just maximize font size and then maximize display size to make the text even bigger than typically allowed. You can also enable like bold text here and then like increase the contrast so that the text is brighter on a darker background if you need to do that. We're going to swipe back one and go under color and motion. In here you can find a couple of interesting features, but we're going to go into color inversion. And this is the same as classic inverted colors. This inverts everything. So tapping this, it makes my phone look like it's in light mode. It does invert images they do not have a small inverted colors for Android, unfortunately. So it's just classic inverted colors. But this is helpful again for reading PDFs or accessing websites that aren't in dark mode. And that's just color inversion. We're gonna go back to the main menu of accessibility, and my phone decided to darken its display a little bit. And we're gonna scroll down. Magnification. I forgot to put this in the menu for some reason, but magnification is the same as zoom. So for Android, you do have to set up a shortcut. And for all of these features, you can set up an accessibility shortcut, but you have to go into the magnification shortcut and then select a shortcut that you want. I suggest reading through these closely before you just select one and do it, but they're all pretty intuitive. The easiest one is the accessibility button, um, or the volume button keys. But you basically set that up and then you choose magnification type. You can do the full screen just like you can on iPhone, or you can do a window. For me personally, I prefer the full screen so that I can really see everything and as big of a screen size as I can. But I'm going to go ahead and do my gesture, and this is going to enable it. So on the side of the display, it has an orange border, so that tells me that zoom is enabled. I'm sorry, magnification is enabled. And to zoom in on an Android, it's actually really easy. You just pinch and zoom to zoom. You just spread two fingers like you would on a normal photo, to zoom in and zoom out. It's super simple, super easy. I definitely think Android got that down very well. As for like the shortcut, I don't love the triple tap to enable shortcut, especially in video games, because it automatically just enables. But the swiping gesture or the volume buttons or even just the dedicated button on the screen are all great ways to set up the magnification toggle. And I think that the gesture is just using the typical photo zooming in and out gestures is awesome. So that's magnification. I'm gonna go ahead and back out. And below magnification, we have select to speak. So tapping on that, we can set up a shortcut. For this, I am going to use the accessibility button. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle this. And on the side of my screen, we have a little button here. And I'm going to go ahead and swipe out. And I'm going to go and I'm going to pull up another article from my website. And for some reason, my camera does not want to zoom in. Or focus, I mean. There we go. So if I tap this button, it's going to bring up at the very bottom here a play button. So this tells me that it's activated and it's ready to be used. For select to speak for Android, you just simply tap an item.
Set up and use select to speak on Android.
And it will read it. Which is super easy. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to tap it and then tap an item to hear it.
Learn how to set up and use select to speak on your Android device.
So I'm not sure if you can hear it, but it just read out. I just had it read out the title and then the summary about the article. So it says set up and use select to speak on Android, and then learn how to set up and use select to speak on your Android device. So that's just the general way of how to use select to speak on an Android device, which is awesome. And I think it's pretty straightforward. You can again go into more the settings for these features to change different things such as the speaking rate and the voice that it uses. and more. I'm not going to go over those tonight again, but if you'd like to, you can read up on those, or you can ask me questions at the end. I'm more than happy to answer questions. But we're going to go ahead and move to applications for these devices. So I'm going to have both of them here side by side. I've got my iPhone on the right and my Google Pixel on the left. And I'm going to go ahead and swipe over here. We're going to cover some of the amazing accessibility applications to magnify and access things within your environment using your smartphone with free apps. We're going to cover free apps tonight. There are paid apps as well, but I'm going to cover the free apps, just a handful. So the first one I'm going to cover is Magnifier. It's called Magnifier on both iOS and Android. It's made by Apple and Google on their respective platforms. So I'm going to go ahead and just open up both, which is, it looks like, oopsies. It's got a magnifying glass on both of them. And one of them has a plus in the middle and the other one has a square, I think. But I'm gonna go ahead and open up both. My iPhone has it set up so that it's filtering everything, it's inverting everything it sees. But basically you have a button in the middle. It looks like you're taking a picture, but this actually just freezes the screen. So for example here, I'm gonna use the Pixel, but if I needed to, I can just freeze whatever I'm seeing. So I'm just going to take a picture of my iPhone for this example. But this just freezes what it sees. It does not actually save this to your camera roll. So this is a good way to just take a temporary photo on your device to zoom in, blow it up. You can apply filters at the bottom. For Android, you can tap, there's a little button here in the bottom right, and this is where you can apply different filters like inverted colors. Right. And that's what inverted colors look like on my iPhone. Or you can apply grayscale or different color filters. You can have it look kind of yellowy and blue if that's how you see best. That this is mainly used for reading text. So I always recommend to people, those medicine bottles are awfully hard to read. So I actually have a medicine bottle with me here. I can take my medication bottle here and I can go ahead and take a picture of it. So I just took a picture of that medication bottle and then I can just zoom in right there and read the information about them. So these are just great for that. Again, you can apply filters, you can increase the contrast for the image and whatnot. And the iPhone is similar. You have the button in the middle to capture a temporary photo, and then if you swipe up, you can access more of the filters and the different settings. You can customize both of these. They have an edit button, I'm pretty sure. I'm not actually sure. Okay, yeah. If you go into the button on the bottom left of the magnifier for Google, you can go into more settings to edit it. On iPhone, it's in the bottom right corner. And you can change like the layout on iPhone of how it all looks. So I definitely recommend checking these out. Super helpful, mainly for reading that fine print on documents or medication. Those are two big examples. I would recommend having these applications on your phone for that. We're gonna also cover Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes is awesome. You can call a volunteer. So if you're stuck with something, it could be anything in life, and you're home alone or whatever, or you're out and about and you need some help, Be My Eyes is super helpful. You can call a volunteer to ask for help. But I also really like their Be My AI feature. So this allows you to just take a picture of something and have it describe what it sees, and it describes things amazingly well. I'm not going to actually do it because the descriptions are pretty long usually, but it's awesome. You just open up the app and you make sure you're on Be My Eyes, which is the second one in from the left, both on iOS and Android, and you just take a picture and it will analyze the photo and describe it to you. And so I really love that feature. That's mainly what I use it for. It works really well at zoos, I find. So outside environments, it does a very good job at that. It's the best AI application out there, and I think this is one of the best use cases for AI in our world today. But that's AI, Be My Eyes, and it is for iOS and Android. The next application we're going to cover is Roboca. This is unfortunately only available on iOS. I know it is being developed for Android, um, but it is currently available only on iOS, and it is made by a NOAA community member. So someone with albinism designed and developed this application. There is a subscription here that you can pay for to unlock some more features, but it's basically the same thing as Magnifier, but with just bigger buttons and a different layout. All the buttons are all on one screen. There's no opening menus really to access more settings, except for the top. The top left button does let you edit a little bit more, but this is awesome. It's just a simple application and it lets you actually, one of my favorite things is it stabilizes the feed. So I use this mainly when I'm out and about trying to read like menus at a restaurant, especially at like fast food restaurants, those screens above where you order food. It's awesome that I can just hold my phone up and just zoom in while it's live and have it stabilize it so that I can read the items. So I typically use Roboca for that, but you can apply filters, you can have it invert colors, you can increase contrast and whatnot. Great application. It's also free. The next application I'm going to cover here is called Seeing AI. This is mainly used, and it's going to start talking here when I open it.
Read.
So it's mainly used to read text on a document. So I'm just going to take my iPhone here and I'm going to get it to turn off the flashlight maybe. And I'm just going to take a picture of the notes here on screen and see if it will describe what it sees. Okay, so right here it's reading off. It was able to identify the text in the slide. And so you can have it read it out loud, or for me, I can just read it. I have enough vision to be able to read it. But this is helpful for reading typically documents. That is its best use case. It can do other things, but I don't find it can do them very well. You can have it tell you currency. So if you have money and you don't know how much a bill is worth, you can set it in front of it and it will analyze it and tell you how much the bill is worth. So that's the only other feature I find that it's helpful with, but you just tap the more button and then uh, you can access more of the features. Um, so that's be my that's Seeing AI. And it's available on both iOS and Android as well. This next one is it's a Safari extension, so it's not super necessary, but it it's nice. And it unfortunately is paid, but it's worth it to me. So you can definitely decide. But basically what it does, it allows me to apply dark mode to a web page. And this is unfortunately also only available for Apple products. But it lets me apply a more proper dark mode to a website. So on here I've got the Apple website again, and I can just enable the dark mode for this website page. And it will invert the colors on the web page for me. It will try and identify the pictures. So here, this picture of the iPhone is not actually inverted, which is pretty nice. But it just does this without having me to turn on inverted colors, which is what I like. But that's Noah. That's basically what it does. That's how you generally use it. You go into Safari and you open up the extensions tab under this top button. It kind of looks like I think that looks like a puzzle piece actually in the top left corner. And then under extensions, you can find it and enable it there. But that's a dark mode extension for iOS. For Android, they do actually have a newer feature, and I just recently found this out actually. There's a new feature called or in Chrome, actually just built into Chrome, but you have to enable it. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up this tab. You have to go to a web page called Chrome :/ flags. So this is an experimental page where you can enable experimental features for Chrome. And if you go in here and you search for just dark, I think I just typed in dark, and then scroll down, you can actually find this feature called Darken Websites checkbox in themes setting. So I'm gonna go ahead and just I'm gonna pull up the Apple website, for example. So it's applying a dark mode here. I can tell because the border is typically white. But if I go into the top menu, the three dots in the top right, I can scroll down and see here it says dark theme. It's kind of cut off because the text size is so big. But if I turn that off, then the borders are back to white. So this is really helpful and really nice to just be able to go into that menu and toggle it. It doesn't work great, but it is helpful and I do like it. So if you feel comfortable with it, you can definitely check that out. Unfortunately, I don't have an article on how to set that up at the moment, but I am planning to write one and put it on my website. So those are the applications and extensions that I recommend that I find really helpful. Mainly those first four applications, Magnifier, Be My Eyes, Roboca, and Seeing AI are what I recommend for a daily basis. But that's what I'm going to cover tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about me and what I do. I have developed a website and a YouTube channel called iAccessibility. It's a play on words, but basically, I teach how to do various features, accessibility features, and general productivity features and applications and whatnot for technology. I mainly cover Apple products, but I'm hoping to expand to Android as well, and Windows. But you can connect with me at iaccessibilityservices.com. You can visit the website. You can find articles on how to do all these features at that website. And I'll pull that up quick here in a minute. You can also visit the YouTube channel. If you're on youtube.com, just look up iAccessibility, and look for the icon on the right. If you have questions, you can email me at support@iaccessibilityservices.com, or you can message me on WhatsApp or Telegram or directly actually at 515-497-0292. Or you can also connect with iAccessibility on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and then there's a couple of other services that I'm on that you can find links to on the website. Um, and I'll just go ahead and pull up the website here. So if you go to the website, this is actually really helpful, but on the main page, if you just scroll down to news and events and click on events and news updates, you'll find in here at the very top, at least right now, I've got upcoming events under here. I've got Tech Talk overviews. And in here, you can actually find an overview on everything I just covered tonight, because I know I covered a lot. It's probably a little overwhelming. If you want to dive deeper into something, or you don't remember something that I covered fully, or I went a little too fast, which I'm more than sure I did. You can go in here and click on these. If you want to learn more about Zoom, you can click on it and it'll take you to an article to explain how to set it up and use it, and even more features that I did not cover tonight. And it also will explain those applications that I discussed tonight as well. And you can also find the links to these applications um, on the recommendations page. So I definitely recommend coming and checking this out if you would like to dive deeper in what I've mentioned and what I've talked about tonight. Um, but yeah, so that's what I'm gonna cover tonight. I know I covered so much, and so I would like to give some time for Q&A. But yeah,
Thank you, Leah. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. I was learning so much. And some of it I knew, but I was that was so helpful. And so yeah, does anybody have any questions? We have the chat open if you'd like to ch type in there, or you can just ask verbally, of course, if you want to go off mute. And if no one has any questions right now, of course, Leah did leave her contact information. So I'm sure
yeah,
she'd be happy to answer anything for you if you think of something later, but we'll give it another few seconds if anybody has anything.
I'm gonna go ahead and put my website in the chat as well as the um, email address and phone number.
Oh, Erica said simply amazing. I
Thank you,
agree.
Eric.
Thank you, Erica. I agree. Leah's amazing. And we did record this session. So people who weren't able to make it tonight will be able to watch it, and we will put it probably on our website video library or YouTube or both.
And I
So
will be updating that one page on my website
yes.
with that info as well.
Oh, did I hear someone? I thought I heard somebody's voice. Maybe not. We would love to do a part two of this in the series too. If anybody has any really like specific things you want Leah to go over, even more slowly or more in depth.
Mhm.
Because like I said, Leah's a wealth of knowledge with this.
I
So
can talk hours on technology.
yeah, you can, and you do, and it's amazing. So if anybody has anything really specific, like you can shoot me an email too, because I talk with Leah and we put these calls together. We would love to, she's open to doing more and we're open to having her. So
Yeah.
yeah, just let us know. But if nobody has any questions right now, I guess we can look, Leah, you did it exactly perfectly on the hour. That was pretty impressive timing.
I thought that was impressive. So I
That's
see here
impressive.
somebody.
We didn't know if it was so much information to get through, but you did it succinctly. So there you
I
go.
know, and I didn't cover Samsung because I realized the timing wouldn't be right, but I know I covered as much as I could.
Oh yeah.
Someone did ask, looks like
Oh yeah, we did. Oh, we are all muted. Oh, Mike, do you want me to help? I can unmute you.
mm-hmm.
Um, I'll ask to unmute. Have you looked at any AI, is what Mike said.
Yeah, so I've used a lot of AI with ChatGPT as well as Gemini to help with guidance, especially with developing a website. My website is completely built by raw. So I code every line. Um, I code it all and I make it that way so that I can make it accessible. It is not perfectly accessible, but it is accessible with screen readers and it automatically switches from light and dark mode depending on your device's setting, which is, I think, just amazing. And I developed it. But that's mainly what I use those AIs for. It's also really helpful to just be able to go in like ChatGPT or um, Gemini and go and ask a question that I typically would on Google and just have it spit out something instead of having to look through a whole bunch of articles on Google. Um, I think it's kind of replacing um, Google. Okay, so you'd like a class on AI. I would be super happy to do a session on AI and ChatGPT and whatnot. I think there's such incredibly cool tools, and I think when they're used right, um, they're super helpful, and I think they have so much potential in um, helping in the working world and just in general day-to-day life too. Do we have any other questions I can answer or anything else you'd like to know? And if you can't figure out how to unmute, you can always ask in chat and we can easily unmute too.
Yeah, we might have to have you back, Leah, for AI chat GPT type thing.
I would be happy to do that.
Awesome. I had to step away for a
And
second
you're
to start my dog.
welcome, Mike. I was more than happy to do this. This brings gives me some more experience teaching and I will I'm looking into doing this actually as part of my own business someday.
I can say thank you. A lot of that was reviewed to me, but anyway, thank you very much. I did copy down your contact information and did grab a screenshot of the last screen with your, website information stuff from your
Yeah,
presentation.
I was I'm glad that it was a good review for you that you can get my info. Definitely don't hesitate to reach out if any of you have questions about anything that I covered tonight or you need help fixing something. I will always do my best to use my knowledge to help you out. I also provide some other services as well, but yeah, definitely don't hesitate to reach out at my email or my phone number or on one of the social medias. I know like Instagram has DMs.
And I just
Awesome,
like to say that
awesome.
Rebook is like my go-to app when I need to look at stuff when I'm out and about, and I
Yeah.
tend to use the Zoom built-in Zoom of iOS on my phone and iPad.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. I love it. Zoom was definitely one of the first things that I used on my first iPad. The actual reason that I got my first iPad was I needed magnifier to be able to read. I remember when I was pretty young, and starting to read, I couldn't make out text, and we went to a specialist, and they just told us you need an iPad. So yes, I've been using Magnifier, I've been using Zoom for a long time, and I think
Yeah, I
they're
was originally using the magnifier that's built into iOS, and
hmm.
then I somehow got the email something about beta testers for Rebecca, so I kind of signed
Yeah,
on as one of
I
Rebecca's
was a
beta
beta
testers.
tester as well. I thought it was really cool. I'm no longer a beta tester for it. I think they ended up kicking me off eventually, but I was a beta tester there at the beginning while I was in development.
And a
So
couple
much,
of features
Leah.
I
This
think
was
were from my
wonderful. And if any of you have more questions for Leah, definitely reach out. But thank you all for coming, and thank you, Leah, for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bye, everybody. Have a great night.